Hey, what's up everyone? My name is KevinPhwap. Today I'm going to make a video talking about making sacrifices and prioritizing. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm having to go through those exact things in my life. I love being honest and sharing my experiences, and I think they'll be able to help some of you people out there maybe make some sacrifices in your own life after you prioritize to get you where you truly want to be. So, first things first, prioritizing. I truly believe you should only have a few main focuses. If you stretch yourself too thin, you're not going to give any one thing the right amount of attention. So, that does not mean completely taking your life out of balance. So you still need to take the time to work out, you need to take the time to relax, you need to take the time to exercise and do all those things. But what I'm talking about is you don't want 7 or 8 different projects you're working on that don't correlate with each other. It's just going to be hard to make any one of them something awesome. So, having said that, once you've taken the time to really prioritize your life, find out what's most important to you or which job you think you should be spending the most time on, then you need to think about making sacrifices. So for me, we're closing in on the World Series of Poker. Anybody that doesn't know, I was a professional poker player from the time I was 16 to 24. That was basically March of last year was the last time I played professionally, only because in April the Department of Justice shut down the 4 major online poker sites. This left me with 2 options. I could either move out of the country to continue to play, or I had the opportunity to buy an insurance agency from a family member. I decided to buy the insurance agency from the family member, making the sacrifice of short-term income for the long-term job security. Having said that, the World Series of Poker is still my #1 priority. 2 years ago, I took second. That wasn't good enough. I really want to be a bracelet winner. So, I need to make sure I can spend the maximum amount of time out at the World Series. What does that mean for me in my personal life? Well, like I said, I was a professional poker player. The last time I made more money than I spent in a month was January of 2011. So I had a really good month, made over $20,000 that month, proceeded to lose around $15,000 the next 2 months, and then online poker got shut down. So I've had to draw a lot of my savings. This has left me with a pretty tiny bankroll. What little bankroll I did have, I ended up not running so good in live poker here in Colorado. Mostly break even, but basically I didn't have a chance to run up that bankroll like I expected to. So I know in order to go out in the series and make a lot of money, I need a bankroll. It takes money to make money. So I'm going to sell my car. That's one of my main 2 sacrifices I'm going over in this video. That, and also I've decided to rent out my house again. This is something, I've actually done this multiple times right before the series. I usually only stay in a place about 9 months, and then it seems like I'm going to be gone for 2 months, and I just really want to minimize my expenses so I can maximize my opportunities to make money. So there we go. Those are my 2 big sacrifices. I thought it'd be good to share with everyone to see the types of things people go through, the tough decisions they have to make. On one hand, I have a really nice house. I'd love to stay in it. Technically, I could almost afford it with my savings, potential to increase income in the future. I think I could work it out, but that's not the life I want to live. I don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. I also want to be able to travel and play other poker tournaments in the future. So I'm getting the agency set up in a way where it can run without me there. I've hired another employee, which will mean I can pay myself less, but going back to the whole renting out my house, now I don't need as much money. So that gives me more freedom to be able to travel out to the series. I'm probably going to end up having to fly out every Tuesday night and then fly back to Colorado every Sunday night. So I think I've managed it where I can be there 2 days a week and the agency won't miss a beat. So those are some sacrifices that I'm going to have to make. And having said that, anybody that's still here, I wanted to talk about sacrifices that I made when I was younger that turned out to be a reason why I became really successful, I made a lot of money, all those types of things. So rewind all the way back to high school. I was the type of kid, played sports, did well in school, but I wouldn't really spend time doing anything outside of that certain thing. I know that's kind of poorly worded, but what I'm saying is I was good enough at my schoolwork that I could get 95% of it done during school. So if I had homework, I would schedule my time where I would do it the next day during school because I knew which classes were kind of slack and which ones weren't. So same thing with soccer. I really love soccer. It was my main priority. Nothing would come in between me and soccer. This is something I pursued all the way up until college when I had a scholarship to play, and I actually had to make a tough decision at the beginning of my freshman year because I didn't think I could handle school, soccer, and poker. I ended up dropping out of soccer. So that was another sacrifice. But going back to high school, soccer was the number one thing. I wouldn't miss anything for it. And then I had poker. So those were my main three things. And that meant I didn't spend a lot of time hanging out with friends outside of school. I was very, very busy. And I also didn't let idle time go to waste. So if you found me my junior and senior year in school, if we had 5 minutes at the end of class, I would crack open a poker book and read 2 or 3 pages. And this was actually another funny story. Because I was reading so much, my test scores on the standardized test, the ACT for anybody familiar, the equivalent to the SAT, my reading score went from a 17 to a 32. The perfect score is a 36 in each category. So essentially, I had like a 50% and I doubled it to a pretty good score. And that was just from reading tons and tons of poker books. It got me really good at comprehending what I was reading, thinking about it. Whereas before, I never wanted to read anything. I didn't read a single book outside of school up until that point. I just never had any desire until I found these poker books where I could spend that time, read these books, and it would help me make money almost immediately. And that's what I want to talk about is sacrifice. Back then, I really did. I mean, I went to school 7 in the morning, got out towards 3, went to soccer practice, came home, had dinner, and then I'd play 4 hours of poker and go to bed. So that was a time when I sacrificed TV time, I sacrificed time with my friends, I sacrificed doing the easy, lazy thing at school. Also, I could learn as much as possible, as fast as possible, which really paid off. A lot of people, when I first went to college, they were talking about you should definitely go to school. It'll be hard to go back to school, but poker will always be there. And I knew for sure that that wasn't completely true. I knew that it was almost like a mini gold rush of sorts where there's tons of people playing poker for money that almost had no idea how to play. So that was when I sacrificed my social life for being a poker player, being a successful poker player. And that was the hard work that basically got me to the point I was 2 years later where I was grinding $215 sit-and-goes. And I also even had recognition in the poker world, in the small sit-and-go world. And even with people like Tom Twan, he just knew me as a sick grinder because I could play sit-and-goes. It was just like a math game for me. And I could play those like 10 hours a day on top of spending time on 2+2 and reading poker books. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video and kind of go over my life decisions that I had made. Basically, renting out the house, selling the car, going to bring $10,000 from selling the car and use that as my bankroll and try to run it up. And basically, I'm going to go back to the way I was when I was younger. When I was younger, the first 5 or 6 vacations I went on, they'd be to places like the Bahamas, and I'd be down there for a week, and I'd spend 6 days playing poker in the casino, and eventually something happened in my life where that changed, and I wanted to start vacationing and enjoying my time and not necessarily going these places and just working. But what I found out is when you're just doing vacations to have fun, it can get really expensive, whereas my poker vacations, where I'd get to see cool places, eat really good food, meet cool people, but work, they would actually pay for themselves. I would make money. So that's kind of my rant about prioritizing and all that. So I really hope that this helps somebody out there. If you guys have any comments, I'd love to hear them. I printed off the World Series schedule and kind of wrote out the tournaments that I was thinking about playing. I had a comment on one of my recent videos if I was going to do another video like I did last year and definitely will. I'll upload the video, go over the tournaments I want to play, tournaments there's no chance I miss, and all that. So hopefully everybody out there enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you in some form or fashion. If you have a tough decision to make, then you really just need to take the time and realize that you need to prioritize all these things in your life, and then that tough decision needs to help the things that are highest on your list of priorities. So take care, guys. If you liked the video, give it the thumbs up. If not, that's alright. Leave me a comment. Tell me what I could do better. I love getting constructive criticism. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas for videos, you can leave them also in the comments below, or you can find me on Twitter at KevinPhwap. Alright guys, take care.